Good morning, students. Hope so all are fine. Now let us, when we continue the lesson, the last part of this lesson, that is about the plant life cycles and alteration of generations. Why we can see different types of life cycles in different plants. So basing on the type of cells like haploid and diploid cells, the plants might undergo different life cycles. And we can see in the same life cycle, we can see different types of generation, that is mitosis and meiosis, forming gametophytes, forming sporophytes, gametosporophytes, etc. So why this is going on? So in plants, both haploid and diploid cells then can divide by mitosis. So this ability, because all the cells in the plants like haploid cells and diploid cells which undergo mitosis, these can lead to the formation of different plant bodies. Either it is haploid plant body or diploid plant body. So haploid it is N and diploid it is 2N. Now the haploid plant body which produces gametes by mitosis, in which it represents the plant body as gametophyte. Okay. So the haploid plant body which produces gametes by mitosis. Haploid will undergo mitosis to form gametes. That type of plant body is called gametophyte. Okay. Now after the formation of this gametophyte, it undergo fertilization, and now the zygote also will divide by mitosis to produce a diploid sporophytic plant body. Okay. So once the haploid cells will undergo mitosis to form the gametophyte. Now the gametophyte, when it is formed, which will undergo fertilization to form the diploid sporophytic plant body. Now the haploid spores are produced by this plant body by meiosis. Now you may have the doubt how this plant body, haploid plant body we get. We get by the meiosis. This in turn divided by mitosis to form haploid plant body once again. So once by the process of meiosis, the zygote will undergo meiosis to form the spores which are haploid, that is N. And after this formation of the spores which undergo the mitosis to form gametophyte, which is haploid again. Okay. These are the cycles we can see form the haploid plant body once again. Thus, during the life cycle of any sexually reproducing plant body, there is an alteration of generations between gamete producing haploid gametophyte and spore producing diploid sporophyte. So the plant will undergo different types of life cycle between, they might be like a haploid to diploid, diploid to haploid. Especially it takes place in between the gamete producing haploid gametophyte and spore producing diploid sporophyte. However, in different plant groups as well as the individuals representing them differ in some of the following patterns. So in the first pattern, what we are going to see is Haplontic. What is this Haplontic? In which the sporophytic generation is represented only by one cell zygote. So throughout the fertilization or throughout the generation in this type of Haplontic plant body, we can see only a single cell zygote like us. There are no free living sporophytes. Again, the zygote undergoing division and forming number of sporophytes. Now again the sporophytes undergo multiplication, complete replication, complete multiplication. This will not take place in this type of generation. In this type of generation, only it is the Haplontic, that is the single zygote is formed. Meiosis in the zygote results in the formation of haploid spores. Now this zygote will undergo meiosis to form haploid spores. Now these haploid spores will divide mitotically to form the gametophyte. Okay. The dominant photosynthetic phase in such plants is a free living gametophyte. This kind of life cycle is termed as haplontic. So in this cycle we can understand the zygote which undergo meiosis to form the spores. Now once the spores which will go mitotically division to form the gametophyte, and this is the photosynthetic and the dominant nature, and this is what haplontic. Okay. So this type of haplontic type of life cycle is seen in volvox and Spirogyra. So these are the examples. They might ask you for 1-2 marks questions. Examples for haplonitic life cycle, volvox and Spirogyra. On the other extreme, this is the type wherein the diploid sporophyte is the dominant. So here, what is the dominant here? Diploid sporophyte. And this is photosynthetic, and this is of course independent. And now this haploidic phase is represented by gametes only. This kind of life cycle is termed as diplontic. So in this type of life cycle, this is represented by the gametes, that is the male gametes and the female gametes. And this is a diplontic, where you can see here very clearly. Sorry, this is haplo-diplontic. So this is the diplontic. Gametophyte which undergo meiosis, forming the spores, and which undergoes syngamy, that is a fertilization to form the zygote. Now from zygote again the sporophytes are formed. So this is what? Diplontic. When the gametophyte is represented by the few cell or many cell stage, life cycle is called a Diplohablontic. I repeat. So when this gametophyte can be represented by the few cell or many cell, so some of the cells which may undergo Diplohablontic type also. Pteridophytes and all seed-bearing plants follow this pattern. So example for this Diplohablontic is pteridophytes. Bryophytes interestingly exhibit an intermediate condition, that is the Haplo-diplontic. So bryophytes which undergoes Haplo-diplontic, both phases are multicellular with the dominant gametophytic generation and dependent on the sporophytic generation. This is the cycle here. Interestingly, while most algal genera are haplontic, some of them such as Ectocarpus, kelps, that is the laminaria, are haplo-diplontic. Fucus is diplontic and Follisiphonia is diplobiontic. Okay, so this is about the plant life cycles and alterations of the generations.